to another Jenna Rae Cakes tutorial. I just want to say I hope everyone is staying safe out there in this uncertain time. I've been cooped up for a couple of weeks now and I've been working a lot of sugar flowers, so I want to share that with you. They're very tricky and they take a lot of time, but lots of people have a lot of time right now, so hopefully this is something you want to learn. So today I'm going to be going over sugar ranunculus. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. So if I'm doing it wrong, sorry, but that's what I call them. So when I do flowers, I don't do them extremely botanically correct. I kind of take artistic liberties with them. But this is my version of a ranunculus. And you can see the green center, and I did a cream colored one. So it's a lot of little petals, a lot of thinning. But this one there's no frilling, which I think is the hardest technique to learn in sugar flowers. So we're starting off not easy, but somewhat easy here. So what you'll need to start with is a styrofoam block to hold your sugar flowers. You'll need 20 gauge wires, or 18. I think I've used 18 here, I'm out of 20. And we'll need gum paste. So like I said in the leaf tutorial, Maggie Austin's recipe is the best that I've used. I don't share it personally because it's not mine to share, but she sells a book, it's back there. The gold one, Maggie Austin cake, and it's in there and it's great, and I highly recommend it for any cake or sugar flower lover out there. But any kind of gum paste will do. I dyed mine ivory because that's the color I wanted to go with. You can do whatever color you want. We'll need shortening, egg whites again, like always. Our colors, so the colors you'll need for ranunculus for this version are a light green and a bit of a darker green and a lighter brown. You'll need, so these are rose petal cutters, a small, medium, and a large. This is just a standard set of rose cutters, you can get them anywhere. A paintbrush, a veining stick, a very handy tool to have on hand. Definitely get more than one because they break easily. We'll need a foam pad with a hole cut in the middle. I'll go over all this more in depth when we're going through the process. Rolling pin, wire cutters, floral tape, and cornstarch. And then also you'll need your pasta roller. So you don't need this. You can use just your rolling pin and roll it out as thin as you can, but this definitely helps. So if you're into making sugar flowers, you're gonna make a lot, I definitely invest in this. You can also make homemade pasta with it. We did last night, it's really good. So you can use it for a lot of different things. And then for these ones I thin them out to a 6. Yeah, a 6. 6. I think that's everything you'll need to make your sugar ranunculus, and let's get started. So to roll out your petals, you'll need to take your gum paste. I just do a little bit at a time. Knead it out, add some shortening if you need to. And then cornstarch on your surface, press it down. So when you're putting it into the pasta maker, you want to roll it out pretty thin. You're doing some of the work for the roller for you, but you just want to make sure it's even. So about that is good. It's pretty thin already, but we're going to make it even thinner. So you'll start it lower on your KitchenAid. Okay, so that's up to a 6. It's like translucent pretty much, so that's how you know it's a good thinness. And that's really hard to achieve by just rolling it out by hand, but you can do it. This just makes it more consistent and faster. So then you take your cutters, so I'll start with the small ones. 2 small ones for the center, and then 2 to 3 medium ones, and then 3 to 4 large ones. So it's not an exact science, I just kind of go with what I'm feeling and how I want it to look. But for teaching's sake, let's say 2 small, 3 medium, and 3 large. That should do. So 2 small. So usually you don't cut them out all at once, but I do the 2 small and the medium first. Let that dry overnight, and then I'll do the largest, because if you try to do it all together, it's just gonna Lila, open the door. It's just not going to work, and it might fall off. So you want to make sure that the core is dry first before adding on the bigger final outer leaves, petals. All right, so first I do the 2 small and the 2 medium, and then I'll put those on our base that we made. That's after this is dry, and then I'll let that dry for at least 6 hours, if not overnight if you can. So this is a long process, so you don't want to start them in the morning and expect to have them ready to put in a cake by the afternoon. It's like a 3-day process. so keep that in mind when you're making them. So 2 smalls, 2 mediums, and then we'll do another medium and 3 larges the next day when it is nice and dry. And that is how you roll out your petals. And then you want to keep them in a Ziploc bag while you're working so they don't dry out, because they dry out really fast when they're this thin. Okay, so I have my petals rolled out here and in a bag. So keep them in a Ziploc airtight bag so they don't dry out. So what we need to do to start is take your wire, bend the edge so it makes a hook like this. You can use these or you can use your nails, whichever you want, and just bend it over so it makes a little hook like this size. And then you want to take your floral tape, take a big long piece, stretch it out. And then you're gonna build a base for your flower to, or for your gum paste ball to attach to. So I just wrap it around like 10 times, kind of push the top in, and then go down. And go down like that. So you have your little so you have your little nub here. And then, so this is what we're making. It's the middle of the flower. So you take gum paste ball and attach it to here to look like this. So this has been drying overnight, what you need it to do to attach petals to it. So this is what you'll be doing the day before you want to start. So you take your gum paste, take a little ball, about this big, roll it into a ball. It doesn't have to be exact, but you don't want it to be too big because the smallest petals are going to have to fit around it. So that's something you can hold up your petal cutter to it and kind of see that it's going to work. You take your little nub guy here, dip it in the egg whites, and then just stick it into the middle of your ball. Use some cornstarch, and then you're kind of just attaching it, just pressing the sides here. Press it into the, you can kind of feel it at the top here, and then at the top you want to make it into a bit of a point. Doesn't have to look pretty, this is just on the inside. As long as it's the right shape and form, that's all you're looking for. Okay, that looks good. So this is something I would do. I would make all the centers for my flowers that I need to make and let them dry overnight. So like I said, it's definitely not a one-day process. It's usually about 3 days. So then we have our center here. So the first step for that is to take your small petal. So this, I have this nice marble counter, so I don't need to put down anything, but working on like a stone slab is best for this part, or maybe like a metal table or something like that, something very flat and hard. So you're taking your veining tool, and you're starting in the middle of your petal, and you're just thinning it out each way. So you can press down pretty hard on this part. It doesn't, and if it does rip a little bit, I think that's nice. It adds a little bit of uniqueness to your flower. But you don't want to press too hard that everything is ripping, because that'll be a pretty sad flower. And then you're just going out, so you might have to move your petals to make room as you go. So you can just bend it over. So you're doing about halfway up the petal. Okay. So there you have it, all veined. And then you take your foam pad, slide it on so that the middle is over the hole. Take your paintbrush, and then you're painting halfway up the petal. And then up the, what side is this? This side, the left-hand side of the petal. So just up all the left-hand sides here. You want to like separate them so they don't stick together. And make sure you have a good amount of egg white in the middle. Then you take your base, the dried one, let's make sure, yeah. And you stick it right in the middle. And then you start with one petal, whichever one you choose. Pull it up. And you want to cover that top part. So just like that, you adhere to the side of your little cone there. and then you skip a petal, take the next one, and just get it in there as close as you can to this guy. This is where nails come in really handy. And then you pull this over, then you skip again. So you want to make sure your centers are very, very tight. If they're loose, it's just not going to look like a real flower. So you want to pull it as tight as you can. And then you're back to this petal which you skipped, and even you can pull it off if you need to put it where you want to. Tuck it in as far as you can. Pull the outside petal in around. And this one I'm going to pull them off and stick them up here too. Right in there. So when you pull down these petals, you want to make sure you're kind of pulling up and down. So ranunculus, it kind of like goes over the top. So you want to pull up and down. Up and down. Okay. So there you have it. A nice tight center. So when you're doing the very first layers, you want to make sure that they're really tight. Later on when we get to the outer petals, that's when you kind of want to play with them and make them more flowy, but right now you want to keep it nice and tight. Okay. So now I'll do one more small one. So same thing, just thinning out the petals. Egg white. And then up the side. Usually I'd use a smaller paintbrush, but this is all I have. So you take your center again, put it in the middle, and then you're just kind of starting wherever you want to, just wherever you can kind of fit your petals in there. So this, I'm not skipping any petals, I'm just using them in the order that they are. So you kind of see I'm just kind of loosely placing them, and then I'll go around and pull them and tighten them once they're all kind of stuck into place. Okay, so then again, pull up and over, up and over, up and over, up and over. Okay. So you want to kind of squish onto your base here, the petals, so they don't fall off. Make sure they're securely attached. And then you can kind of go in, well, I'm doing it with my nail, but you can do it with your end of a paintbrush or something pointy, maybe this guy, and just kind of separate a little bit in there so you can see all the petals. Okay, perfect. Kind of spin it around. All right, so that's center, and then I'll do one medium one, and that's when you want to let it dry. Okay, so this is our medium petal. Same thing. Spin it out. Okay, so this is the bigger petal set. So you want to tuck it in. This one kind of ripped, so that's what I was talking about, but that's okay. I'll leave it like that. Go to the next one. Pull up. Just attach it here. So you want to kind of get it as far tucked into that other petal as you can. Okay. And then you're lifting up and pulling down. Up and down. Okay. So if you find it's not really sticking, then you just go back and add some more egg white. So you're still wanting to be pretty tight at this stage. And then the next petal set will kind of start having some fun with it. So even here I can go and take the outer edges I just did and kind of fold them out like a ranunculus does. Kind of fold out the edges a little bit, so you can tell it's starting to open up a little bit. So this is the same as this one, but I'm leaving this one this size, so I made the petals a bit more frilly and out. It's the same amount of petals, but this one is just going to be like a little filler flower or on a vine or something, so I made it a bit more pretty. But this is if you're going to go and make the full size. Okay, so this is I'm going to take and leave to dry overnight, because you really want it to set, because this is a lot of weight on your little wire, and you don't want all the petals to fall off once you've finished applying them all. Okay, so it's ready to go. So this is our dried center. So we're kind of starting new because you can't really tuck it in when they're dry like that. Going around. So you want to make sure you keep your petals level on an even field. You don't want these ones to creep too high up, or you don't want them to creep too far down. So you can tell you need to move up to the next size of cutter once you're really having to like pull and stretch your petals up to get to that height that you want them to be at. So we can tell that we're ready for the large ones next. So these ones you're pulling. So I'm going to start letting these ones be a bit more frilly, and I'm going to leave a spot for the next row to go in. Attach them and play with them a little bit more. This one has a hole, it looks like a bug came and got him, which I like. So I'm going to try to show that. Okay, just play around with it a little bit. Okay, it's good to go. So now I'm going to start with the large petals. So that was 2 small and 2 medium so far. So basically you're just putting the glue or the egg whites right to before the frills start, and then at the sides. Okay. Okay, so here's the open door for our hem, so I'm gonna go in there and add it. So again, I'm just putting them as close together as I can. Up and over. Okay, I'll leave this guy open for the next one, and then you're just pressing it in like before. And then these ones I'll play with and kind of pull back a little bit so they're getting a bit bigger, because I'm almost to the full size here. Okay, so this is the first bigger outer layer, and I'll show you compared to the finished flower. So I think on this one I did 4 big petals, I want to say. Alright, so let's tuck them in. And if you want to go bigger than what I've done, you can. You just need to get bigger cutters. So either a rose petal cutter, you can just use circle cutters. If you're doing that, definitely let it dry a bit longer so that the core is really, really, really solid, because it's going to be a really heavy flower. Spreading them out and kind of folding. So I'm really like manipulating the petals here. I almost want to like pinch them back. So they fold out like that traditional. It's okay, Lila. They're folding back here, and then I can kind of
squish it a little bit to make it not so circular, which I kind of like. And I think this guy needs maybe one more. All right, so this is the third big guy. So I'm holding it like this underneath in case you're wondering. Support it with your hands and it's just helping you put on your petals. So I'm gonna go back into here. There. Okay. So here I'm gonna go and start letting them fall more. Okay, and there's no rhyme or reason which order you go in either, so I'm starting to kind of play with that as well. Just kind of wherever I feel like they should go. So this one has a little rip, which I like. Tuck this guy under here. Secure them to the base. So I'm really going to bend this broken one so it looks very intentional. And give it a squeeze. Okay, and I think I'm going to stop there because if I go any bigger, they're just going to start falling even more, and I kind of like the look of this. So that was 2 small, 2 medium, and 3 large, I believe, question mark. I usually do a lot at once, so I'm doing it kind of as a chain, so I'll do like 5 at one time. I'll just keep going around and around and around and build up the petals. So that's why I don't really know exactly how much go in each one, but I think it's good when you kind of just play with it and see what happens with your flowers. You don't want to do the same exact flower every single time. You want to kind of mix it up a little bit. You can go in and then kind of stick the petals on a bit better, play around with it until they're dry. You can really manipulate them. If you want to add more petals, you totally can, but I kind of like the look of this one. Okay, so I'm going to let him dry a little bit upside down. Okay, so he's done. So I have to let him dry. But I'm going to do the coloring to show you how I do the coloring. Let's do this one, it's a little bit bigger. Okay, so when you're doing the center of your flower, I have my petal dust here, so just a little bit of green. And you're just kind of like stabbing it in the middle. I'm not like moving it around or anything, I'm just like stabbing it. And then I use the brown and I just kind of like touch the edges of them. So just to show a little bit of, I guess not decomposition is probably not the right word, but a little bit of wear on the flower. And just kind of highlights the ridges as well. Just like that. And then you can put a little bit of brown in the middle too if you want to make it a bit darker. There you go. Lila's upstairs with her dad. Don't worry, I'm not letting her cry. Okay, so there you can see, you can see what I was doing there with the colors, and then yeah, you just kind of touch the edges when they're dry, of course. So you color the flowers the next day after you made them. So this one I'll have to let dry for a day before I can color him. But there you have it. So that's all of our kind of stages there and how we color them.
Again, one more thing, I just do want to reiterate how these are not for sale. Anything I do on my tutorials in my own kitchen, my hair is down, my hands are out. I mean, you don't make sugar flowers with gloves anyways, but this is just for fun. I'm not selling it, I'm not following health and safety guidelines because I'm just at home making flowers, making tutorials for you guys. Nothing I make, cake or anything else is sold. I feel like I've said that a bunch of times, but we still get questions about it and some mean comments, so I just want to clarify. This is just for fun, it's for you. I keep this in my sugar flower garden. I'm excited to build a big one and make a big arrangement for my home or my family's home or whatever. So just wanted to clarify that because I know some people have questions. Alright, so that was my sugar flower tutorial of the ranunculus. Again, I'm not botanically correct in these flowers, or any flowers for that matter. I kind of just use my creative artistic license and make them look how I want them to look and what I think is beautiful. And so yeah, I suggest doing that when you're making flowers too. Don't put too much pressure to make sure everything looks exactly the same. The most important part, I would say, is the center, because that's what makes it look the most real, when it's tight and compact and spirally and beautiful. And then the outside petals, have your fun with them, let them go as they may. Don't follow too strict of rules. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm always here to help. Love to answer them, love to see your work too, so remember to tag me or send us a message with a photo or how you used it. Yeah, let me know if there's any other flowers you want to see, any other cake designs that I would love to show you. Most of all, have fun, stay safe out there everyone please, and we'll see you next time.